Okay. We need one. Yep, give me 1 minute and then.
Can I have all the council persons please return to your seats? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start the public participation of the regular Common Council meeting on Wednesday, February 22, 2023. If anyone would like to speak before the council, please come up and address your name, address, and limit your time to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak before the council? Second time anyone wish to speak before the council? Third and final time anyone wish to speak before the council? Seeing none that are in attendance, we do have one caller. For the caller to call in, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Please, it is your time. Well, we tried. We're available, certainly. So seeing none, and the caller was not in, I will end the public participation at 7:11. Any Common Council members wish to speak? Seeing none, public participation is closed, 7:11. The mayor will be here shortly to start the meeting. Thank you.
All right. We're all here. And I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. The date's February 22nd, 2023. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll at 7:16 p.m.?
Alderman Dyson.
Here.
Ayalon.
Here.
Catanzaro.
Here.
Costa. Here. Hargraves. Here. Malinowski. Here. Ortez Luna. Here. Pabon.
Southern Office.
Russell. Here. Rakowski.
Here.
Sanchez. Here. Kurspa. Skirpo.
Here.
Sagara. Thompson.
Present.
Smedley.
Present.
14 present.
Thank you very much. Can we all please rise for the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of an early spring. We all appreciate the warmer than usual temperatures. Give thanks that each day grows longer in light and that we have been liberated from the winter season. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. As it snows. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. We'll jump right into it. Alderman Smedley, I don't see any minutes.
That is correct. No minutes and no amendments.
All right. Then, Madam Clerk, right into petitions tonight.
We have one.
Okay?
Murdo Smith of Blasio of New Britain LLC seeks granting of a certificate of location approval to allow state DMV issuance of a motor vehicle dealer and repair license for property known as 549 South Street.
Okay, we're going to send that to City Plan and also the Zoning Committee, please. And that's it. All right, thank you. The consent agenda tonight, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept a consent agenda of items A, B, D, and E. Item C will be off of consent.
Okay. Seconded by Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Dyson.
Yes.
Ayalon.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Costa. Yes. Hargraves. Yes. Malinowski. Yes. Ortez Luna. Yes. Russell. Yes. Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sanchez. Yes. Skirpo.
Yes.
Sagara. Yes. Thompson.
Yes.
Smedley.
Yes.
14.
Motion carries. Alderman Ayalon, item C.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to accept item C.
Seconded by Alderwoman Costa. Alderman?
Yes, I would like to invite Justin Dorsey, who wrote the answer to about the Fair Rent Committee. Can you perhaps summarize
Good
your
evening.
answers? Hello, good evening. How are you? Can you summarize some of the issues that you talked about in your answer? Like what's going to happen with the, as I understand that several things, that the committee, the Fair Rent Committee haven't met for at least 2 years. There hasn't been minutes, but it is meeting tomorrow. Can you?
That is not true, sir.
Can you, and you also in your answer said that you were looking into changes or codifying the Fair Rent Committee. Can you elaborate on all of that?
Yeah, sure. So to answer your first part, there's no meeting tomorrow because there's no business before them. Every commission is required to send out a yearly thing to the town clerks before like December of the previous year. But that there's no meeting of the Fair Rent Committee tomorrow because, again, there's no business before them. But furthermore, on your second part of the question, so individuals from our office, from the Human Rights and Opportunities Officer, what did I say here? The who's the administrator of the commission, the homeless prevention and the housing coordinator are working together to come up with some changes that's going to be presented to the commission for when they do have a meeting for them to adopt.
Okay, so I have a few questions. So a constituent called me a few weeks ago and described, not her, but her daughter that was evicted or was going to be evicted by a landlord that actually the city came and gave, he wasn't following the code, and there was carbon monoxide issues. So she came here for mediation and all that, and she was not notified. She told me today that there was anything like a fair rent committee. So I'm not surprised that nobody has applied. So the first question I have, where on the city website is there a commission of fair rent cited? Because I didn't see it. Maybe you can help us.
I can't say off the top of my head, sir.
Okay, so, because I looked at the list of commission on the city website, and there is no list of, not mentioned, commission of fair rent. So that could be one reason why nobody's applying for.
May I ask
Yes.
you a question, sir? Because I'm not familiar with this case. If this person got some sort of mediation, how did they know that there was mediation available if not knowing of the commission?
Well, they were referred to as I understand, the way the city is doing it now is it goes to the, to Alderman Hargreaves in Human Rights Commission. I still don't understand why is that. And they do the mediation. They call for mediation and then afterwards she received an offer to, I think it's not her, it's her daughter, and
Right.
to pay some of her hotel staying because the landlord kicked him out, even though he was cited by the city and not following.
So were they
So-
already evicted, sir?
Yes,
So they were evicted through the court system?
evicted through a mediation. I'm not sure she went to the court. But in any case, she didn't know about the option for, can you maybe explain to the public, since, what is the Fair Rent Commission? What is its duties? And what it is, how is that different than just simply going to human rights?
Would you like me to read the entire ordinance that was attached to this report?
Well, you can summarize it.
Well, I'm not going to summarize it. I'll read the whole thing for you.
Go ahead.
Sure. I got time. Section 2-926, the Fair Rent Commission. This is going to be a while, guys. Section A, pursuant to the conformity with Section 7-148B through 7-148F of the general statutes, there is hereby created a commission known as the Fair Rent Commission. Said commission shall have such powers, duties, and responsibilities as are pursuant to Section 7-148 through 7-148F, inclusive of the general statutes, including but not limited to make studies and investigations, to conduct hearings and receive complaints relative to rental charges and housing accommodations, to ensure rental charges are not harsh and unconscionable, that's in quotation marks, thus creating a fair and equal process for the tenant and landlord compelled by the need for habitable and rent-stabilized housing stock in the city of New Britain. And, Section B, the commission shall consist of 9, and the number 9 in parentheses, electors appointed by the mayor, which shall be comprised of 3 tenants and renters, 3 landlords, and 3 property owners. Chairpersons shall be elected by the members, which is standard for all commissions, serve 2-year terms, again, standard of most commissions, shall be empowered to enact such laws and regulations as necessary through the conduct of business, provided no bylaws or regulations shall be in conflict with Section 7-148B through 7-148F of the general statutes. And C, in the Commission's consideration of fair rents, no fines or penalties for violations of city ordinances or state or federal laws may be included in fair rent amounts, nor shall the cost of complying with anti-blight or code enforcement orders from the city, state, or federal governments or authorities. D, in determining whether a rental charge is too excessive, with due regard to all circumstances, the Fair Rent Commission shall consider the following 13 factors. 1, the rents charged for the same number of rooms and housing accommodations in the same and the others of in other areas of the municipality. 2, the sanitary conditions existing in the housing accommodations in questions. 3, sorry, I'm getting old. The number of bathtubs and showers, flush water closets, kitchen sinks, and lavatory basins available to the occupants thereof. 4, services, furniture, furnishings, and equipment supplied therein. 5, the size of number of bedrooms contained therein. 6, repairs necessary to make such accommodations reasonably livable for the occupants accommodated therein. 7, the amount of taxes and overhead expenses, including the debt services thereof. 8, whether the accommodations are in compliance with the ordinance of the city and the general statutes relating to health and safety. 9, the income of the petitioner and the availability of accommodations. 10, the availability of utilities. 11, damages done to the property by the tenant caused by other than ordinary wear and tear. 12, we got water, the amount and frequency of the increases in the rental charges. 13, whether the extent to which the income from an increased rental charge has been or will be reinvested in improvement to the accommodations. Subsection E, Fair Rent Commission will be unable to accept excessive rent complaints if 1, the tenant owes back rent, 2, the tenant have already signed a lease agreeing to the requested rent, and 3, landlords have already begun the legal eviction process against the specific tenant.
Okay, thank you. The reason why it was good that you read it, because I think the public doesn't know about, very few people in New Britain know about the Fair Rent Committee. But a question about the last 3 items. Here's it says, and you just read, that they're unable, the tenants accept all of these. The limitation is that the tenant owes back rent, the tenant have already signed lease agreement, and the landlord already has begun legal eviction. Do you think those items really might prohibit many residents for complaining, because they usually complain after they have, they've been evicted, or they have, owe rent and so on. So are these 3 items also in the state?
I don't have the state statute, I'm sorry.
Because I looked at the state
This
statute, and
ordinance-
there's no items that they make those prohibitions, you know.
Sure. This ordinance was passed in 2012 under former Mayor O'Brien and the Democrat Common Council, passed 12-3 with
But
2
I think that
Republicans and
the
Alderman
last 3
Carlos
items
voting no.
might be added later.
What's that?
The last 3 items might have been added later.
No,
I'm not
sir.
sure. But I'm
never
just,
made-
I would, if you don't mind, I would like you to check with the council, might be against state statute.
I'm not an attorney, Alderman, but I can say that sounds like it may have to do with the state statute, including the Municipal Powers Act, which the state enacts legislation allowing the municipalities to govern their own selves.
Yeah, but not to prohibit, access to this. Anyway, this should be checked. I have a question, more general question. When when tenants have issues, like with eviction and others, they actually go to the community, I think, service part of the city,
Sure.
right? Why not have that section take care also of the fair rent? Why did it need to belong to human rights?
Well, that's
It's-
part of the discussions that we're having, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're reconsidering that, because it sounds like it would be more relevant to be within housing inspections, with all of that would make more sense.
Well, I wouldn't say entirely housed there, sir, but, if there's more people that could weigh in on it and more people that could assist, that
So
would be
when
better.
are you planning to submit
I'm not planning
for
to
us
submit
a-
anything, sir.
some restructuring of that?
Well, it wouldn't go to you guys. It's going to the commission. That's what it says in the report.
So the Commission of Fair Rent will deal with that, we'll discuss it first?
Correct.
But you said it's not meeting tomorrow.
Well, it's not, they don't have business before them, sir.
I'm confused, it's on the schedule.
As I just said about 5 minutes ago, there's no business before them. That schedule was based off of the schedule that every commission submits the November prior to the year for the year. Commission's meetings get canceled throughout the year when there's lack of pending business.
Okay, so are you going to involve the Fair Rent Commission in restructuring this, or are they going to have a voice in it?
It's what it says
or-
in the report, sir. It's going to them to approve it.
Your Honor, I call it point of order. I mean, it's questioning, repeating it over, it's going nowhere.
Sorry,
Get to the
Mr.
point, Alderman Ayalon.
I'm,
Get to the
sorry,
point.
I'm trying to understand what's going on. If you let me finish this, just one more question. I would feel comfortable with the future of the Fair Rent Commission if you provide us in a specific time, some kind of plan of action that will make Fair Rent Commission more accessible to residents. And then I would feel this is so important now when rent are going up, when residents are losing their food stamps, and when cost of living going up, inflation, and this total marginalization of the Fair Rent Committee and the lack of is really disheartening for me and for many residents who are suffering from high rent. So if you can assure us for a certain deadline that you're going to do something to boost the Fair Rent Commission and its status in the city of New Britain, I would be assured. Thank you.
Sure.
Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. Two points of information. One, oh, I apologize. Thought I was still in the committee meeting. Sorry. On the city's website, the alderman asked where this information was located. If you browse to city services and then to the community services department, homeless prevention and housing coordination is there, and it lists the tenant's rights, it lists the landlord rights, and then about a previous circumstance where rent is owed to a tenant. Number two, the tenants have already signed leases agreeing to the requested rent. Read what you sign. If you sign a contract that says this year and the next year your rent is going to increase 5% or whatever the number is, that's what you signed. Number three, landlords have already begun legal eviction process against a specified tenant. The legal eviction process has stipulations and circumstances that have to be met. A criteria exists. It is public knowledge that landlords will begin an eviction process with. So I just wanted to correct that misinformation because these three items don't prevent somebody in the city from appealing to the Fair Rent Commission or to the Community Services Department for help. There are guidelines. It's just not everything free for everybody. Thank you.
Alderman Hargraves.
And just to briefly add to that, Alderman Smedley, if a tenant does file a fair rent complaint, the landlord is prohibited from retaliating and going forward with an eviction for 6 months after that complaint was filed. So the tenants are covered if they go to the Fair Rent Commission before the landlord issues an eviction. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Dorsey.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm sure you're aware the state legislatures are talking about some type of rent. Rent control. My mind just went blank. And I know there's a lot of issues with new investors coming into the city, buying properties, and jacking the rent up $300-400 immediately. I'm really torn between, I'm not actually for rent control, but I feel for some of these people that whether they're seniors or whatever, all of a sudden they're paying, say, $700, and now next month it's up to $12. Now something like that would be able to go through the commission or no?
Yes, sir.
It would? Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys are keeping a track of what they're doing in Hartford. Maybe the commission could kind of stay on top of that and come up with some ideas or whatever, that's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderman Dyson.
Thank you. Just want to interject. As a landlord, be taken out of my pocket. If I have to increase rents to the tenants, then I hate to do it, but I've got to do it. I can't keep taking it out of my pocket. In fact, one of the reasons I sold those two families was because of tenants leaving and leaving the place in disregard, and yeah, you can get a month's rent with it, but it doesn't pay for what you have to do to clean up. So, you know, I feel for people, but I think everybody thinks we're the New York landlords that come in and buy and increase everybody's rents 200, 300%. And I don't see that in New Britain, and I think we're very fair in there. But I do agree with the Fair Rent Commission. I just want to get off this where everybody thinks every landlord's making a fortune with their rental property. So, and we are not, trust me.
Any other questions?
Your Honor,
Alderwoman
may-
Costa?
I have to stand. Mr. Dorsey, I just want to clarify one point.
Sure.
There was a question about when the meetings are, when the next meeting is scheduled. So is the meeting in March to review the bylaws? I just wanted to clarify that, because I'm not sure.
I would just say that off the top of my head, I don't know the schedule of the meeting, so I don't
Okay.
know if there is one scheduled for March. Some commissions meet every other, or some.
I don't know the
meet when they
schedule
have
on
it.
this one either,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to clarify that.
It would be sooner rather than later.
Okay. And this commission is to protect renters. We know that there are opportunities that exist today where we've got owners capitalizing on the market conditions. So that's real, that's happening. We're having discussions all over the state about it. This commission exists. I think that there's an opportunity for education. Reading, the ordinance was great. And I just think, the more people know, the more, value it brings to the commission. There certainly is a commission. Mr. Hargraves talks about it, and so I think we just need to make sure we understand kind of the meeting schedule and what that looks like, as well as ensuring people have the information they need to be able to bring forward cases that they have before it's too late. Mr. Smedley, or Alderman Smedley spiked out exactly where those limitations are, where we can actually make any kind of meaningful difference. So definitely share, those points, and I'll do the same. I think we could all, benefit from making sure people have the information they need in this case. Thank you.
Anyone else? I would just like to end the discussion by thanking the staff that we have. There's a reason why so many of these are coming to an agreement and helping in that regard, and that's the reason why we have the great staff that we do, and the reason why there hasn't had to be these meetings, because of what they do. So thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 1, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 1.
Seconded by Alderman Thompson.
As you know, we just had a discussion on this tax modification and extension in the Committee on Administration, Finance, and Law prior to this meeting. I do urge my council members to pass this evening, as for all the reasons mentioned in the committee level, and just for the general purposes of our east side. I truly believe this is going to be one of the pivotal projects for our east side improvement. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And Mr. Carrier and the representative are still here from the property.
Are there any questions or comments on this? Alderman Ayalon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a long discussion here in committee right before this meeting, and I voted against it, and I'll vote against it again for the several reasons. We just had another developer that we decided to cut the from 26 years to 13 years because of financial problems, financials for all of us, and we need more taxes. The city complains that we have more than 50% of our space is occupied by nonprofit organizations such as Central Connecticut State University, the hospital, and so on. We need more tax revenues. So we had a chance here with 321 Ellis that had wanted extension, and it was an opportunity to redo their contract. And yet the committee decided to approve it. Let me remind you here that even though it's a project for more affordable housing, it's well subsidized. Well subsidized by the state, by the city, and as we heard from the developer, they had to put only 20%. They're going to make money one way or the other. I think it's time that we cut down I'm not saying not to give subsidy. It might be affordable, just like we did before with 13 years, but not 25 years of tax relief in an amount that we will never get, and nor other small developers. I listened to their argument, and I think the city could have done had an opportunity here for do a bargain and get a better deal and more taxes. The development there on 321 Ellis Street will require city services. Will require more money for us. The taxes that we're getting from them is relatively small compared to what it could be if we gave them, say, 13 years. So I'll be voting no for, and I urge everybody else to join as well. Thank you.
Alderwoman Costa?
Thank you.
Come back around.
Thank you, Vera. So I've come full circle on this agreement, and I'm going to explain why. I'm not a fan of tax abatements. They make me uncomfortable, particularly this year at this time. But if we don't do this, the project doesn't happen. So we've heard from the developer that without this arrangement, it basically blows up the project. And I don't want this project to be blown up, and I don't want it further delayed. And I don't know what it means if we go back to the drawing board to reassess our negotiations and understand, where do we land? And I don't like question marks and uncertainty. That makes me uncomfortable too. This project is a valuable project. And Alderman Ayalon, I'm with you on the discomfort of the agreement that has been made. I wasn't part of that original council that made the agreement. I don't know what the terms in the presentation was at that time, but this was agreed upon, a little over a year ago, and part of a council that most of you were on. This project is going to support, some of the most vulnerable residents in our city. And that adds a significant value, and I certainly don't want to delay it any more than we already have to delay it. We've received some level of assurances that in the next quarter, financials should be resolved, construction should begin. We don't anticipate any further delays on this, so this is a 12-month delay. And certainly the revenue coming in will be increased, pretty immediately upon the construction beginning. Mr. Carrier, can you just talk a little bit about the corporate, responsibility here? So some of the other contracts that we've had, there were concerns about, what happens at point of sale. I understand that, this management company, can you turn on the mic? This management company will be managing long-term this building and this development.
Yes, and I think the best person to speak to this would be Mr. Rabina,
Oh, sorry.
because he can talk a little bit about the history of the corporation itself and the fact that they manage the properties they develop. And Mr. Rabina, if you want to come up.
Thank you.
But again, the agreement was in place, and unforeseen circumstances occurred. I mean, the environmental condition of the property is much worse than anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time to find that out. And then you're going back to CHFA, Department of Housing, to help cover the shortfall, and then while that's happening, prices are going through the roof. So they have to just continually negotiate. We finally have an agreement. We need a little bit more time to start construction. I think Mr. Rabina mentioned that they already are filing the building permits with the city. And, the city had agreed in the agreement that, if for unforeseen circumstances, it would extend the dates. And, but let me have Mr. Rabina give you a little bit of the corporate history, because I know, and especially you, Alderwoman Costa, weren't here when we first.
I was not. Yeah, I was not.
Hi, Matt Rabina, Senior Project Director with Wind Development. So I work for Wind Companies, and we are a large multifamily developer and manager of affordable mixed income and military housing We own about 15,000 homes up and down the Northeast, and we manage about 100,000 homes across the country, including about 44,000 for the Department of Defense. We're the largest manager of privatized military housing in the country. WIN prides itself on its long-term stewardship of properties, and we very rarely sell properties that we develop. So just by way of example, I just finished up a renovation, about $18 million renovation in Waterbury of properties that we converted to apartments in the early 1980s. And had previously invested some money in the early 2000s in. This was the big 40-year renovation, and we plan on holding on to those properties for at least another 40 years. In the past 20 years, we've become the largest developer of mill properties, converting old historic buildings that are often sitting vacant or underutilized into affordable and mixed-income homes. And we have not sold any of those mill buildings in that time. So this is a business that we regularly engage in. In the state of Connecticut alone, we own or manage 3,000 units across the state. This would be our first in New Britain, but we have Waterbury, Hartford, Bristol. So we're already in the area and plan on continuing to do work here for a long period of time.
And for the record, without the extension on this tax abatement, this project will be paused, possibly even indefinitely.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I rise in support of this resolution. I would say reluctantly, but because it was passed prior, because there is a stipulation in the contract stating if there's extenuating circumstances, the contract will be extended. And because what that's going to do to the East End, this building has been old factory. I think we're going to see another 26-year agreement. We talked about this during our last. We still want to help developers come in, but we have to make some minor adjustments. But in this case, I think it's fair. We did say, okay, it was beyond their reasoning that they didn't get the funding and so forth because of the ground. You know, that was an old factory for a long, long time. I could only imagine what's in the ground. So I think this is a great project. I welcome WIN to New Britain. We are a great city. You know, we are pretty open as far as discussion, and we put everything on the table. But that does, you know, we are still very welcoming to contractors to come into the city. So I urge adoption. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was part of the original agreement, the contract, and right in the contract it says the city agrees that the term shall be extended for a reasonable period of time necessary to resolve any unforeseen circumstances. Mr. Rena, can you elaborate on those circumstances? Was it 100% environmental, or was it just a mixture of materials going up and other
All of
issues
the
with the state?
above. Yeah,
All the above?
so I would say water, metals and groundwater that have taken some time to fully assess and really get a handle of. During that period of time, the construction market has increased significantly. We've had a 30% increase in our construction costs since the last time it was before the council, and then interest rates have spiked. So our ability to borrow debt has decreased. And so it's been a combination of things that have led to where we are. That said, we're in a very high level of readiness to proceed. We've submitted for our building permits, so once we get this, and then we'd be able to start the project.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So I urge my fellow aldermen to read the contract, and it's right in here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to address some statements that were made earlier from colleagues from the other side. I don't see a line of people looking to develop with cash in pocket. So when these deals come along, I think it's incumbent on us to make these tax modifications and proceed with them as we have. There's some accusations just a couple weeks ago that these are rubber stamp deals. I don't believe that to be true because there isn't a line standing in the front of City Hall waiting to develop properties or looking for zoning exceptions. These are deals that come because there are special exceptions to zoning regulations for housing and subsidized affordable housing opportunities like this, which I'm struggling to understand the alderman's genuine purpose of not voting for this, because it is an affordable housing project for the east side of our city. So, again, I don't see a line out the door, so I appreciate the deals that have come forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Alderman Ayalon.
So if I can ask you, I asked before, what would be the rent? How much would be the rent here? So we've see if it's really affordable. Can you
Yes.
list how much the rent will actually be for the residents who will live there?
Yeah, so it will be a range. So there are 4 different income tiers in this property. So the highest tier being the workforce unit set aside to people earning up to 80% AMI, the lowest earning 30% AMI. So for a 1-bedroom at 30% AMI, the maximum we can charge is about $600 for a 1-bedroom and about $700 for a 2-bedroom. Going up to the 50%, the maximum we could charge is about $950, and then the maximum we could charge for a 2-bedroom is about $1,200. These are the maximums. Because these are affordable properties, we can't charge people more than 30% of their income when they move in. So it will be adjusted based on their income to make sure that they're not overpaying for rent every month.
Okay, so my second question is, you mentioned that you are large developers that develop historical properties and others, and you mentioned 15,000 units, military housing, and in Connecticut you have 3,000 in Waterbury, Hartford. Where else?
I think it's about 10 or 11 municipalities, but it includes New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, Bristol. I'm blanking on the rest. Bridgeport, and a few other communities.
Okay. What kind of, if you can let us know, what kind of tax abatement you got in other municipalities? I'm just curious to compare it to what we.
So we haven't developed new properties like this in quite some time in Connecticut. The last one we did of comparable scale was in East Haven back in 2018. That was based on a percentage. So here we're agreeing to a fixed dollar amount of 600. In that one, they phased in the new tax abatement over a 10-year period, and it was only a 10% increase the first year, and then a 20% increase the first year, or the second year, 30%, and so on and so forth. So it was structured differently. It was much more generous up front compared to this one, where our taxes are increasing by 85% on day one.
But then it didn't last for too long. Right?
And the other piece of this, and this is to the Alderwoman's point, is the underwriting that we've done with CHFA and the Department of Housing to this point have assumed that this abatement is going to be in place as previously approved. And so modifying it now, they have to go and re-underwrite. It restarts the process with them and could potentially delay the project by months or indefinitely, just depending on what the council decides.
So I wasn't clear. So you really got there, though, in 2018, you only got 10 years, right?
That was for that specific project, and we knew that going into the, that was, agreed upon with the city very early on.
So just to answer, I support this project now that I heard the rental, and I think it's affordable, and it's true. But still, I'm not voting against this specific project, but I'm voting against this over a generous, we give in other cities that you could hear had 10 years and structured differently. And so I think we need to start somewhere where we restructure and give it a, remember, this is a subsidized to begin with, subsidized project. So it is important project to support. I have no doubt about it, but not, I would expect this council to rethink this. Thank you.
And I just want to clarify that for those 10 years, the amount of taxes we're paying are significantly lower per unit than we are paying here. So it is just a different agreement.
Thank you. Alderman Hargraves.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just talking recently about fair rent and rent prices going up and the unavailability of affordable housing units in the city. This plan is going to add, what is it, 124? 154
156.
affordable units, including 13% for those with developmental delays, or whatever term you use, that's going to be working with CCRC. I have seen too many projects fall apart on the east side. I don't want to see another one. I drive by that building all the time. It's not far from my house. We had the same issues with Aquinas, time and time again. We got deals, they don't go through. The city was able to put money up to demolish that and is now building, it's going to be affordable houses.
It is.
Getting people into home ownership. We need more of this. The reason why rents are going up because there's less availability of units in the city. By adding this amount of units, we're going to help increase that. We're going to help make the east side a much better place when there's people that's living, that's working, that's traveling. Instead of going by that abandoned or partially abandoned building every day for my entire life. It's an eyesore. So be able to do this. So the fact that we're bringing in affordable units, especially for people of 30% of the AMI, that's amazing. We need more of that. And the east side is starting to upbring. We're starting to see an upbringing over there. So we're starting to see more and more houses being built. Like there was two townhouse, two-family style houses on Kelsey Street that was built recently. People are renovating their properties. So we want to see more. Eventually, this is going to bring the tax base. These people are going to have cars. They're going to pay car taxes. And the amount of taxes that they're currently paying right now, $49,000 on that building, is just going to increase. Day one, $92,000. So I think it's important that we make sure this deal goes through. And I do echo some concerns that there are a lot of generous deals that we've been given, but I think this council now is taking a look at that. And we're not going to allow that to continue to happen because we know the importance. And we know that people want to come to New Britain as opposed to us trying to lure people like we were doing previously. So I fully support this, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hargraves. Any other alderperson? Alderman Cigar.
Yes, I think
Please stand. Thank you.
I think I'm going to vote differently in this section, on this run, on the same project, because I got different information. Thank you.
Okay. Any other alderperson? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. For the record, Alderman Ayalon, no. Motion carries. Resolution number 2, Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 2.
Seconded by Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you. This too was discussed at the Admin, Finance, and Law Committee earlier and was sent to the council with a unanimous favorable recommendation. This is to amend the salary schedule for the police chief. It was last revised 2012 and certainly puts our city more in line with other police departments. And for the records, in 2012, that would, where we are looking is probably only about a 6% increase. So as some of the sentiments earlier, we have the absolute best PD around, and our salary should reflect that the hard work that certainly our chief and our officers have. And I think this is well needed and probably should have done it a long time ago. And I strongly urge adoption. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Dyson. Any questions or comments regarding resolution number 2? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now I can post the job. Resolution number 3, Alderman Smedley.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 3.
Seconded by Alderwoman Costa.
I threw out the wrong paper. Do you have this resolution? I do know this is the appointment of Mr. Delgadillo as Director of Support Services. Just wanted to read some of the resolution. Thank you, Your Honor. So the position of Director of Support Services is currently vacant, and this position is responsible for a large portion of operations of our city, including management, operation oversight, and leadership of the Department of Support Services, which includes planning, budgeting, procedural development, project management, maintenance, and security. This position will also oversee activities directly related to information technology for our public safety, telecommunications, and facilities department and energy management. There was an open competitive examination for this position that consisted of experience and training and that was administered for this position. And we would like for the mayor to appoint Jonathan Delgadillo to the position. And I do support this appointment. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Smedley. Any questions or comments on this? Alderman Dyson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Certainly, my sentiments, I think he's well-deserved. He's going to be has been a terrific director. Just a quick example, when COVID hit 3 years ago, of course, I had been in contact with Mr. Delgadillo. He knows I'm a manufacturer's rep, that we represent heating products, cooling products, indoor air quality products. And he was very progressive. He said, Alderman Dyson, what do you have? What do we have? Not necessarily purchasing from me, but what is available that we can actually install in the city hall, in our city buildings that would clean the air? And there are products, and I'm happy to say that he installed them in pretty much every single one of the buildings. And I can attest that this room in here is so much cleaner, the air, than it was pre-COVID. I sense it, I know it, I can put a test on it, and I know it. But I'm so encouraged that he had that gumption to actually say, what can we do? So we need that progressive thought. He's going around to every single one of the buildings in the entire city, looking at everything, both energy standards, et cetera, and I think he's been absolutely terrific, and I'm thrilled with him being named the director, and I fully support it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Dyson. Alderman Ayalon.
Your Honor. So I've had in the last 5 years a lot of contact with Mr. Delgadillo, and really supportive of him. But I just have a few questions about the process of advertising for that. Is there anybody here that I might
Linda
be
Gard
able-
is here, Director of Human Resources.
Thank
She'll be
you.
happy to come up.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hello.
Hello. So thank you for sending us the job description. Was that, I'm just curious, was that advertised in December 19th, 2022?
Yes,
That's
it
the
was.
address and that's the date on that.
Yes.
So do you, and the the closing date was January 20th?
20th, yes.
Do you think a month? Because I come from academia. We advertise a job for a professor or an administrator at least 3 or 4 months before closing date. You think a month? Is that how the city usually advertise, for a month only?
Yes, that's what we do.
Because sounds like very short time. So that's one question I have. In the job description, the first paragraph says, as a credential information technology management professional, the director of, what does that mean? Credential information technology management professional. That sounds to me like an IT. I know that Mr. Delgadillo is not an IT person,
Right,
but
but
what does that mean, credential
has-
in IT?
Yes.
As far as I know, Mr. Delgadillo wasn't working in the IT. Is he credentialed in?
He has taken classes, yes, he has.
Okay. Okay.
The last 7 months, he's been working extensively in IT.
Now, there is also in the job description mentioned some kind of a test. What is this test about? On the last page of the
The test components.
Examination.
To the job description.
Oh, so it's not it's a what category? Categories how to assess the application.
So it's not a written test, or it's not an oral test, but he did have an oral interview as well. But the test was experience and training.
Oh, I see. So it's guidelines for the search committee to assess, I'm sorry. It's a guidelines for the search committee to assess the qualification of the candidate? Is that what it is?
Yes, every civil service job, the components of examinations are either experience and training, Some are written in oral panels, some are just a written exam, and some are just an oral examination.
So here, was there a written exam also?
No, it was experience and training at 100%.
So it was, just the experience and training?
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't clear, okay. And you mentioned that there were only 2 other applicants and they were not qualified?
Yes, sir.
Is that typical for a job, high position like this, only 2 candidates?
It
3
is,
candidates?
it is, you have to look at the position. It's overseeing dispatch, information technology, facilities and service and energy, and there's not a lot of people out there right now that have all that experience.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to ask you. Isn't that like a little impossible job when you have so many responsibilities? Isn't that a little too, maybe perhaps creating anxiety in somebody who is overseeing so many different departments?
Alderwoman Costa.
Thank you. I'm actually glad that we only have a month. I've been in the job market recently, and that extended 3-month period is horrendous. It's inefficient, it's ineffective, and it limits our ability to be accountable. There's a lot of liability open when you keep jobs like this open for months at a time. Leadership is required for direction, for progress, for growth. And so I'm looking forward to Mr. Delgadillo officially being put in this position. He's displayed, extraordinary leadership, and he's resourceful. He helps me think about revenue, because it's all he thinks about is revenue for the city. And I really appreciate, the value add he brings to City Hall and the influence he'll have on all of the people that work for him. So I wanted to talk about the structure a little bit, the reporting structure. It's not just like a bunch of people reporting to him, right? Like there's a management structure, right? There's like a hierarchy. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Linda, and what those expertise are, please?
Sure. So there is a dispatch manager who manages the dispatch center. And we have an IT manager. And then hopefully at some point, we'll be able to get a facilities manager. But right now we don't have one.
So Mr. Delgadillo has specialty skill sets, not just himself, but also specialty skill sets that will report into him.
Correct.
Who do have specific value add skill sets for those particular areas that he is managing.
You're correct.
Okay, and so I come from a very different perspective. I don't think he has to be an expert in all of those places as long as he's got experts who are reporting to him about all of those things. He has to have knowledge of those things, and we're really lucky because he's got a lot of knowledge about all of those things. He's got this like incredibly diverse experience and leadership. But in addition to that, we're really lucky because we've got a lot of really specific experts in those areas who will be reporting into him. Sounds like a win-win to me. Thank you, Linda.
Any other questions? Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I raise in support, especially now. I mean, I would support anyways, but I always thought that the dispatch and that didn't kind of mix in this. But hearing that there is a manager of that, I feel much, much better, because that is such a specialty. Again, it goes back to my against all the mergers that happen, and we won't open those doors, but I'm in support. I think he's doing a great job now, and I'm sure he will be. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to just take a few moments, if I may. John Delgadillo, Linda, you're good. Thank you. John Delgadillo has been acting in the Support Services Director position for the last 7 months, and to say that John has grown into this position is not even enough of a statement to talk about the amount of incredible work that he's done. Most of the, I'll say, the fancy or the sexy projects that we vote on, John Delgadillo is the project manager on that. Our Public Works Yard, he's the project manager. The Go NetSpeed Fiber project, he's the project manager. He's established himself as a person in City Hall that other department heads and leaders are calling, including myself, to say, I need your opinion, because he's that trustworthy and that knowledgeable. I would really appreciate your support on making him permanent in this management role as Director of Support Services. He's taken, the dispatch center, it's all IT related, right? When you're looking at, our IT department, it ties directly into our facilities because needing to use our facilities for additional cabinet space for, our network systems, and it all ties together. John does, and he's done an incredible job with merging all of these departments and really leading with expertise that I didn't even know he had. He certainly impresses me on a daily basis too, with how he proceeds and how he's moving this department forward, constantly thinking of ways to save the city money too, especially when it comes to energy reduction. You'll see another item on the additional money on our electricity bills. He's always being innovative. He's been at the forefront of a lot of initiatives that we've taken, especially with the Sustainable CT program. He was a driving force in getting that climate leader designation. He's done a lot. I guess I don't need to belabor the point. I'd appreciate your support in supporting Mr. Delgadillo as our Director of Support Services. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. John, I know you're watching. Congrats. Alderman Russell, resolution number 4.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 4.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
This resolution is a national opioid settlement that distributors will pay over $20 billion and up to $17 billion will be available for participating states. New Britain will get $26,143.33, which this money will be broken up between drug services such as full-time salary marketing and advertisement, and the task force operations. I urge an adoption.
Thank you, Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor, signify. I know, I noticed that. I swear I'm not touching the button, I swear.
I turned it on. This resolution has to do with tax abatements, corrections, and refunds to allow the tax collector to distribute accordingly, and I urge adoption.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Malinowski, resolution number 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item 7 and refer to the Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Housing.
Seconded by Alderwoman Costa.
This will amend our city ordinances. The authority to permit for activities on wetlands currently resides with the Conservation Committee, and this would change that responsibility to city planning, as most of those permits have to go through city planning anyway. So it'll streamline the process, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about this in committee. And I urge referral.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Any questions on the referral? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And the last item tonight, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 8.
Seconded by Alderman Russell.
As you just mentioned, this project will allow the city to enter into an agreement with C-Tech Solar to join them to pursue the non-residential renewable energy solutions program. They will generate electricity from their Ellington Solar Field project, and from there we'll enter into a 20-year agreement with them, and we'll receive a 15% discount in a form of a credit off of our future electric bills, which will be paid to the city quarterly. In addition, there's a one-time energization fee that will equal $148,000, and said revenue will be deposited into our special revenue account to be used for future energy-related saving projects, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Smedley. Alderman Ayalon.
Yes, so can somebody give us
Sure,
more
Mr.
information?
Delgadillo,
Where it
our
is
new
it?
Director of Support Services is here to
Thank you.
answer that question. Woo! Congrats.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, for the kind words.
Congratulations,
I
Mr.
appreciate
Delgadillo. Can you tell us more about it? Where is it? What's involved?
What's
Where are the solar panels? Why?
Again,
Tell
you,
us.
so we voted, or you guys, the council voted on this a couple council meetings ago for Ellington Solar Project 1. This is a 2 or 3rd phase of this project. This is a 7.4 megawatt solar field being built in Ellington. It's just open land where they're going to be building solar panels. The owner of C-Tech Solar is a New Britain native. So he came to us seeking us to partner up with him to take on this credit, which obviously we thank him for that. So that's the reason that this was approached and brought to our attention.
So Arlington, where is it in New Britain? Where is Arlington?
Ellington.
Ellington. Ellington is Ellington in
Ellington,
Connecticut.
correct. That is where it
How
is.
is that connected to us?
It is not connected to us. Like I said, CTEC Solar will be building the solar field.
If
They
you
need
part,
it.
hold on one second. So the way that the state structures these programs is that the companies that have to partner with a disadvantaged community in the state so that they can get the benefits in these types of credits on our
see.
energy bills. So
I see.
that's how.
So it's a partnership.
Sorry.
Correct.
And
It's a
so
partnership.
the city gets energy from all the way here, no?
Technically, no. They use our they use our electricity accounts to accommodate of what they're generating from. So we will give them 7.4 megawatts of our electricity accounts to utilize, and that's where we get the 15% fee that we get from them. So pretty much what happens is EverSource requires them to take on, okay, we're putting this much more power into the grid on your solar panels. Well, who's taking all this electricity, since obviously there's no building there taking 7.4
grid.
megawatts.
I
So we are the ones that supposedly, quote unquote, are taking this electricity that's being fed back into the grid.
So the grid is the one that connects us to Ellington.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I heard the job.
Thank you. We have multiple agreements like this actually in place. One of the most notable ones is the depackager, Rashi's.
Yes,
the-
correct.
I always-
Anaerobic
digester.
Correct.
Sorry.
Mayor,
Yes.
I will be coming to the council for more V&M credits regarding that anaerobic digester, because they are adding more. They're adding a depackager, which will generate more electricity at that site. So when that comes to, I will be presenting that to the council. This new program is instead of the V&M program. The V&M program is no longer existing. So the anaerobic digester did have that already on the waiting list, but this is the new program. It's the only thing available. It's the best way to try to save electricity costs that are currently raising.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Made by Alderman Ayalon, seconded by Alderman Russell. All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned. The time is 8:23 p.m. Have a great night, everyone.